You ever meet someone who truly believes the world revolves around them? That's Karen, my neighbor, the self-declared queen of our cul-de-sac and, unfortunately, the vice president of our HOA. I'd lived peacefully on my street for 6 years, before she moved in last fall, and ever since then. It's like a black cloud rolled in with her moving truck. Loud complaints, unwanted HOA notices, passive-aggressive notes on doorsteps, you name it. Karen's done it. But nothing could have prepared me for the week she decided her flowers were more important than federal law. It started on a quiet Tuesday morning. I came outside with my coffee to grab the mail like I always do, only to find that my mailbox was gone. Well, not literally gone, but totally blocked. Karen had expanded her flower bed over the weekend, and apparently that now included a low wooden fence and several large planters right in front of my mailbox. Bright purple petunias overflowed like a river onto the sidewalk, and my mailbox door couldn't even open all the way. It was like my property line had been annexed by her garden. At first, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I figured maybe it was a mistake. Maybe she didn't realize how far she had gone. So I walked over and knocked on her door. She answered with that ever-so-fake smile she wore like war paint. "Hey, Karen," I said, keeping my voice friendly. "I think some of your flower stuff might be blocking my mailbox. The mailman won't be able to deliver if he can't reach it." She didn't even blink. "Oh, those? That's part of my landscaping design. The HOA approved it." I raised an eyebrow. "Even though it's blocking my mailbox?" She shrugged. "It's just flowers. The postman can take 2 steps to the side, or you can pick up your mail at the post office. Honestly, walking a little might do you some good." I bit my tongue hard. I wasn't going to let her bait me. I just nodded and walked away. But inside, I was seething. I work from home, and I rely on that mailbox. Bills, checks, legal documents, even medication. Not to mention a package I was expecting that week. So I gave it a day, hoping she'd come to her senses. Spoiler alert, she didn't. On Wednesday, there was no mail delivery. Same on Thursday. On Friday, I walked out just as the mail truck came down the street. I waved to the driver and asked if there was an issue. He leaned out his window and said, "Yeah, can't reach your box. I issued a notice to the neighbor who's blocking it, but I'm not allowed to touch her stuff. Sorry, man." Then he drove off. That was it. A warning. Meanwhile, Karen was out watering her flower bed like she was growing national treasure. I saw her smirking as the mail truck passed by her house without stopping. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she was loving every second of it. I called the HOA, thinking surely someone would understand. But the woman who picked up put me on hold and then came back with a cheerful tone. That made my blood boil. According to our records, Karen's landscaping plans were approved last month. If you have an issue, you'll need to attend the next board meeting and file a formal complaint. Who approved it? I asked, already knowing the answer. Karen, the vice president of the board, right? Of course. She'd rubber-stamped her own flower bed expansion. That's when I realized this wasn't just about flowers, this was about power. Karen wasn't just blocking my mail, she was flexing control. So I started looking into my options. I called the post office and explained the situation. They told me the mail carrier had filed an obstruction report, which was logged, but that they couldn't do much else unless the issue continued. I asked what I could do. The woman on the phone, clearly tired of dealing with HOA disputes, let out a sigh and said, "Well, technically, mail obstruction is a federal offense, but it usually doesn't go anywhere unless someone's being physically threatened. Honestly, you might have better luck with mail forwarding in the meantime." Forwarding? Yeah. If your mailbox is blocked, we can temporarily redirect your mail elsewhere. It takes a little paperwork, but it's legal. A wild idea popped into my head. I asked her to walk me through the form. When we got to the section about forwarding addresses and responsible parties, she paused. "It says here you can request redirection of mail if you share a multi-unit mailbox or are affected by a shared obstruction. Do you and the neighbor share a mail station?" "Not officially, but her obstruction affects both of us," I said. She chuckled. "Well, if she's the one causing the issue, you might be surprised how much leniency we have in resolving it." I thanked her, hung up, and spent the next our filling out a form I never thought I'd see in my life. The forwarding address? A PO box in Fairbanks, Alaska. Yes, Alaska. Don't ask how I picked it, maybe I was just cold with rage. I listed Karen's name as the responsible obstructing party, provided photos of the mailbox blockage, the warning notice, and even screenshots of her bragging about her victory garden on the neighborhood Facebook page. I hand-delivered the completed form to the local post office the next morning. The guy behind the counter actually laughed. "I've seen a lot of revenge stories," he said. "But this is new." I walked out of that post office with a smile that could split bricks. Karen thought she had one. She thought blocking my mailbox would leave me helpless. But she didn't count on what happens when someone calmly, quietly turns the tables. By Saturday, the mail truck rolled through again. I got my mail because I'd arranged for a temporary alternate pickup location at the post office. But Karen, she got nothing. The driver didn't even slow down. And that, my friend, was the beginning of a very, very bad week for her. Saturday afternoon was unusually quiet on the street. The mail truck had just come and gone, and I was standing in my driveway, sipping an iced coffee, pretending not to watch Karen from behind my sunglasses. She had her hands on her hips, standing in front of her house like a general surveying the battlefield. The moment the mail truck passed her by without stopping, without even a glance, her smug expression curdled into confusion, then frustration. Then, as expected, she marched across the street toward me, heels clicking like a metronome of fury. "Did your mail come today?" she demanded, as if I were required to report to her. I took a sip of my coffee, nodded. "Sure did. Right on time." Her nostrils flared. Well, mine didn't. The truck didn't even slow down. "Something's wrong." I shrugged. "Weird. Maybe they're running behind. You just said you got yours." "Oh, yeah," I said, with exaggerated thoughtfulness. "But mine's being held at the post office now, you know, since I couldn't get to my mailbox for a week." Her jaw clenched. "That was landscaping. It's been approved, you HOA. Funny how landscaping can block federal property." She scowled, spun around, and stormed back to her house. 10 minutes later, I saw her fiddling with her phone on the porch, likely calling the post office. Another 20 after that, she was pacing like a panicked cat. I could see her through her front window, anxiously checking her mailbox every 5 minutes like something would magically appear. But nothing did. Not that day, not the next, not the one after. Monday morning, she cornered the mailman right down the street. I watched from my window as they had a lively conversation. Her arms were flailing. His were firmly crossed. Eventually, he pointed to the sidewalk, said something, then shrugged. Before getting back in his truck, she stomped back toward her house, clearly furious. I knew what he'd told her. I'd seen the forwarding confirmation email myself. Karen's mail had been redirected officially and legally to Fairbanks, Alaska, the very top of the continent. It was cold, remote, and very, very far from her precious suburban flowerbed. Later that afternoon, Karen banged on my door like she was trying to break it down. "What the hell did you do?" she barked the moment I opened it. I leaned on the doorframe. "Sorry, my mail is being forwarded to Alaska." Alaska. I talked to the post office, and they said it was legally processed, and that I'm listed as the person responsible for obstructing delivery. I put on my best surprised face. "Really? That's awful. You did this. I know it was you." "You're probably right," I said calmly. "I did request forwarding due to continued obstruction." "Yes, and I attached all the documentation they needed. After all, you were warned, and the issue was never resolved." She blinked, unprepared for the total lack of apology. "You're insane." I folded my arms. "No, I just like getting my mail. And apparently, so do you, and it's not 3,500 miles away. This is fraud." She shrieked. I smiled. "Not according to the USPS. I double-checked everything. You're lucky I didn't report it as a federal offense. Obstructing mail is serious business." She sputtered for a moment, probably trying to summon some HOA rule or citation that might rescue her. But she had nothing, no ground to stand on. I had been polite, followed the law, and acted within every possible boundary. Karen, on the other hand, had quite literally buried herself in petunias and ego. By the end of the week, her flower bed was gone. I mean gone. The cute white picket fencing disassembled, the planters hauled off. Even the mulch had been scraped away like it had never been there. My mailbox stood tall and unbothered, with fresh air on all sides. I got another knock on my door that Sunday, but this time, it wasn't aggressive. Karen stood there, arms crossed, tone clipped. "I've cleared the area. Can you reverse the mail forwarding now?" I looked at her. "Sure, as soon as I get written confirmation from the post office that the obstruction won't return." She huffed. "I already removed it, right? But last time I trusted that." My mailbox disappeared under a wall of begonias. "No offense, but I'd like something a little more official." "Fine," she spat. "I'll get it in writing. Just fix it. I'm missing credit card statements and HOA documents. I can't get my prescriptions." "Oh, I thought you said it was good exercise to go pick up mail yourself," I asked sweetly. Her glare could have cut steel. By midweek, I got the letter. The post office reviewed the location and noted the area was now clear of obstructions. With a quick trip down to the counter and a signature, I reversed the mail forwarding. Karen's mail would finally return home. I imagined some poor postal worker in Alaska, confused by the sudden flood of scented coupons and Pottery Barn catalogs, now breathing a sigh of relief. But that wasn't the end of it, not exactly. Karen tried to reassert herself in small ways. She filed a couple of silly HOA complaints against me in the following weeks in Mailbox. Holiday lights staying up too long, but each one was denied. She'd lost credibility, and the board knew it. One neighbor told me she tried spinning the story like I had gone too far, but it didn't land. Everyone had seen the flower bed. Everyone knew the mail had stopped. Some even thanked me quietly, saying she'd overstepped with more than just me. My little act of rebellion had sent a message even self-proclaimed HOA royalty can't trample over common sense and federal law. Months passed. The flowers never came back. Karen kept her distance. My mailbox remained gloriously unobstructed. And the best part, every time I get a letter, a package, or even junk mail, I smile just a little. Not because of what I received, but because I know that for one glorious week, Karen's entire world was rerouted to Alaska.